So let us start our discussion about the increasing failure rate average, the second class of life distributions. In the previous lecture, we had discussed IFR, that is increasing failure rate property of the life distributions. Now let us discuss IFRA property. So now why do we need this? If we have IFR, is IFRA going to give us anything more than IFR? So notice that when you say increasing failure rate, you have failure rate as a function of time, that is t. So you conclude on the basis of failure rate at a particular instance. So your conclusion is based on failure rate at that time instead of considering failure rates till that time point. Our focus remains only on failure rate at that instance. But what if we shift our focus from failure rate at a particular time point to failure rate till that time point? So we will have to consider failure rates computed till that time point. So suppose T naught is the time at which we are interested in the failure rate. So T naught is the time till which we are interested in the failure rate. So we will consider all the failure rates till time T naught. So basically increasing failure rate average gives you an amalgamation of failure rates till that time point. So what is a simple way to consider to put together all the failure rates? Now notice that it is a function where the domain is continuous, t is continuous. So the function is changing every instant. So it's not like you can simply take the addition and then divide it by the total number so you get the average. This kind of taking the average won't work here. RT, failure rate being a continuous function. So another way to do this is consider the failure rate average function. Means treat the average again as a function. Why average will be again a function? Because you will have to compute it at different time points, at different t's. So the average is going to differ. Just like you have different number of observations, and so the average is a function of the number of observations, isn't it? So just like that, here failure rate average will be a function of t. So now how do we accumulate all the failure rates till a particular time point? So we will say, let us integrate all the failure rates. Let us try to put them together. So now we already know a concept which is cumulative hazard rate or cumulative failure rate, that is RT. So let us consider RT. So RT plays the role of sum of observations in the usual sense. When you consider average of a set of values, what you do is you add values and then divide it by the number of observations in that set. So here RT plays the role of addition of all those observations. And now how many observations are there here in this case? So because here it's a continuous function, so the length of the interval up to which you are considering the failure rate, that length is going to play the role of the number of observations. So let us divide this RT by T. So this is how the failure rate average function is constructed. So the notation, this is a typical notation, it is R bar FT. So R bar FT is 1 by T RT. Now we know that RT is nothing but minus log F bar T. So this R bar becomes minus 1 by T log F bar T. So if this is increasing, then the distribution function f is said to possess the increasing failure rate average property, and so it is supposed to belong to the IFRA class. Now can there be another way to check what is the property associated with IFRA? Can there be another way, or can there be a simple way to check IFRA? So let us assume that you have IFRA distribution. Then what can be done? So because it is a increasing failure rate average function, it means that if you consider the average failure rate average function at two different time points, then say T1 and T2, then R bar F T1 will be less than R bar F T2 if T1 is smaller than T2, right? So keeping this in mind, let us try to simplify this. So the claim about the IFRA distribution is that if a distribution F if the distribution belongs to this class of distributions. Now, what do you understand from class of life distributions? So when a certain class of life distributions possesses a particular property, then that property is attached, is the holding property of that class of distributions. So for example, IFR class of distributions will mean all the life distributions which have IFR property. Similarly, IFRA class of life distributions will mean all the lifetime distributions which have IFRA property. So suppose you have such IFRA distribution, say with the distribution function say f, then the f is IFRA if and only if f bar alpha t is greater than or equal to f bar t raised to alpha for every alpha between 0 and 1 and t greater than or equal to 0. So how it looks really weird, isn't it? What is f bar alpha t and what is f bar t raised to alpha? So let us try to understand the meaning behind this. And then we will also go to R and we'll try to understand the notion of IFRA as well. So let us first try to prove this property and then we will go to R and we will try to compute this IFRA for different distributions. So suppose f is IFRA. So what is the basic meaning? By definition, 1 by t RT will be increasing in t. But RT is nothing but minus log f bar t. So minus 1 by t log f bar t will be increasing in t. So means you can write this as minus log f bar t raised to 1 by t, isn't it? This minus 1 by t log f bar t can be written as minus log of f bar t raised to 1 upon t. So and then you can take the exponentiation on both sides, so you can easily come to the conclusion that f bar t raised to 1 by t should be decreasing. Because of this minus sign, this increasing function becomes decreasing. So f bar t raised to 1 by t should be decreasing in t. Now when you say f bar t raised to 1 by t, treat it as a function of t, simply a function of t. So you are dealing with a decreasing function. What do you conclude then? By definition, if a function is decreasing, then if you compute the function at two different points, where one point is smaller than the other, say t1 is smaller than t2, and you are computing that function at t1 and at t2, then that being a decreasing function will mean f bar will mean that the function at t1 is greater than the function at t2. So treat f bar t raised to 1 by t as a function. Then f bar t raised to 1 by t. So if t1 is less than t2, then f bar t1 raised to 1 upon t1 will be larger than f bar at t2 raised to 1 upon t2. And this should be true for all t1, t2 which are less than, for all t1 less than t2 and both t1, t2 should be greater than 0. So this is the meaning of f bar t raised to 1 by t decreasing in t. So what do you understand from that? Take any point which is less than t, and if you apply then function, means if you compute the value of that function at that point, then the value should be large. So now how do we generate any point which is smaller than t? So what can be done is multiply that point t by a number between 0 and 1. So take, instead of t1 and t2, let us take t2 to be t and t1 to be alpha times t. Then this will be simply f bar alpha t. So alpha times t, if alpha is between 0 and 1 and t greater than 0, then alpha t will always be less than t. So this being a decreasing function, it will mean that f bar alpha t raised to 1 upon alpha t. So this, now the left hand side I am computing only at point alpha times t. So alpha t being less than t, this will be simply f bar alpha t raised to 1 upon alpha t. This will be greater than or equal to f bar t raised to 1 by t. And now because this is decreasing in t, so this should be true for all the points less than t. So this should be true for every t greater than or equal to 0 and for every alpha between 0 and 1. So what we are doing is we are simply writing this in other words, nothing else. This statement f bar t raised to 1 by t decreasing in t, this statement is written in other words in this line. So now can we simplify this further? So now this being true, let us take alpha tth power on the both sides. So raise left hand side and right hand side by the power alpha times t. So f bar alpha t raised to 1 upon alpha t raised to alpha t. So alpha t and 1 by alpha t, they will cancel each other and you will simply have f bar alpha t. Now on the right hand side what will happen? F bar t raised to 1 upon t, this raised to alpha t. So 1 by t alpha t are going to get cancelled and only alpha will remain. So finally you get f bar alpha t is greater than or equal to f bar t raised to alpha for every t greater than 0 and for every alpha between 0 and 1. So if a distribution is IFRA, if and only if this is true. Now notice that every time when you went from A to B, when statement A implied statement B also implied statement A, and hence these are all two ways. And so these statements become equivalent to each other, and so the condition is if and only if. So now let us try to implement this in R. So we are in R now. So here I have written a code for computing PDF according to McCombs family. So the function fx computes the PDF according to McCombs family with parameters a and theta. So this function has two arguments: a, the point at which the PDF will get computed, and theta is the parameter of the distribution. So here it is. This we have already discussed in earlier lecture. So we know that this function computes the PDF. Then another function I have written to compute the survival function of McCombs family distribution. So this is the function f bar x. It computes survival function. Now hazard is simply the ratio of the two. So if you notice, the ratio will be simply this term, first term, 1 plus theta into 1 minus e raised to minus a. So I have copied this here. So this hazard computes the hazard function. Okay, so far we are okay. Hazard function. So now let us take theta is equal to 2.5 and let us see what kind of function is this hazard function. So plot x, h, z. So what do you realize? That the hazard function is increasing. So you can safely conclude that this is a IFRA distribution, increasing failure rate distribution. So now we want to check whether this is IFRA or not. So let us compute cumulative hazard function first. So in this command, the cumulative hazard function will be simply integration of this. So I integrated these terms, 1 plus theta into 1 minus e raised to minus a, and I got a plus theta into a plus e raised to minus a minus 1. So this will be the cumulative hazard function. So let us see if this is right or not. So cumulative hazard function. So yes, it is working. Now in the next function FRA, I am computing failure rate average function. So as we had defined earlier, failure rate average function is simply the cumulative hazard rate divided by the time, the length of the interval. So this will be simply C hazard, that is cumulative hazard, at the time point, which is nothing but the argument provided to this function upon the length, that is A. So let us compute the cumulative hazard function divided by this. So now let us see how the failure rate average function looks like. So I have taken a set of values of x and then I am computing this FRA at all these points from 0 to 5. The increment is 0.01. So it will be 0, 0.01, 0.02 and so on up to 5. So now let us see how does it look. So do you realize the change? So this was the hazard rate. The cumulative hazard rate looks like this. Not cumulative, average hazard, or you can say failure rate average. So this, it looks like this. So it is still looks like an increasing function. Shall we try changing the argument? If you want, say let us consider it up to 10. Let us see what do we get. Is it still increasing? Yes, it looks like it is still increasing. If you go say up to 50, will it be too bad? See, it is still increasing. The rate at which it is increasing is almost constant after a certain time point, or very slow. It doesn't increase this fast, but it is still increasing function. So you can safely say that yes, it is a IFRA distribution because this is increasing. So now okay, so one more thing which I wanted to discuss was the property. So f bar alpha t should be greater than or equal to f bar t raised to alpha. So do we get that? Let us see. So let us first compute f bar alpha t. So I am calling it as LHS, F bar LHS. So what it does is, this function simply computes F bar at point alpha into t. So F bar, this function is nothing but F bar at alpha t. So alpha I am taking to be 0.5. Then let us have a look at the plot of this F bar alpha t. So for 0.5, if I take alpha equal to 0.5, then it looks like this. Here this t ranges from 0 to 5. Now is it actually larger than F bar t raised to alpha? Do you think that it is larger than F bar t raised to alpha? So let us try to add line to a graph. This line will represent the right hand side of that property, which is F bar t raised to alpha. So let us do that. Do you realize? See here, I'll try to increase the plotting area. Can you see clearly? Okay, let us do one thing. Let us try to reduce the density of this. So let us say type equal to L. Let us see what do we get. Okay, now so the thickness is gone. Now can you see very clearly? See, this F bar alpha t is always greater than or equal to the second line, which is F bar t raised to alpha. So this distribution is again IFRA. What does it mean? But what is the meaning of this F bar? So if you try to, means the condition F bar alpha t greater than or equal to F bar t raised to alpha, if you try to interpret the simplified condition, it is really difficult to interpret. But if you go back a bit, if you go back by a few steps, you will realize that this condition is nothing but the condition that F bar alpha t raised to 1 upon alpha t is greater than or equal to F bar t raised to 1 upon t, and then that makes sense. Then that, so because all those steps which we discussed just now, they are equivalent to each other, so that indirectly means that the distribution is IFRA. So this is what we mean by the IFRA distribution. So basically what they expect is, instead of having the failure rate increasing, simply increasing, let us consider the average failure rate and then try to talk about the property of the distribution. So if the average failure rate is also increasing, then let us call that distribution as IFRA. Okay, so it's like all these are features of positive aging. So one can say that the item has positive aging if it is IFR, if it has IFR property. Another person may say that an item has positive aging if it has IFRA. So what do you think? Which one is a stricter condition? I'd like to know your answer to this. So it's like different ways of judging the kind of lifetime an item has. So one way is IFR, the other way is IFRA. There are other ways too. Let us continue this discussion. So here we are again. So IFR implies IFRA means what? If a distribution has IFR property, then the distribution is bound to have IFRA property. But the converse may not be true. So what is the meaning of that? That if you have increasing failure rate function, then the average of the failure rate is always going to be increasing, isn't it? And why is that the case? Because the average of an increasing function is always increasing. And so IFR property actually is a bigger class of life distributions than IFRA, isn't it? All the distributions which have IFR property are going to have IFRA property. Sorry. So what I spoke was wrong. All the distributions which have IFR property will definitely have IFRA property. What does it mean? That IFRA becomes a bigger class of distributions. A distribution which has IFRA property need not have IFR property, isn't it? So the bigger class is on this side and the smaller is on this side. So they are, in a way, they are classes of progressive aging. So now can we consider another class of aging? So which is a bit different. So the class is new, better than used class of aging. So what is the meaning of this? So what is the meaning of positive aging? We have discussed this enough. By positive aging we mean that an old item is worse than the new item. Now in what sense it is worse? So it could be worse in terms of failure rate, it can be worse in terms of survival function. So many ways are there. So basically when you say that a unit or an item has positive aging, it is like comparing the unit at two different time points, isn't it? Comparing the unit at age 0 and then comparing the unit at a certain age, say t. So if there is positive aging, then what we expect to happen is that a new unit, that is the unit at age 0, will perform better than a unit of age t. So this, statistically speaking, this they call as new better than used class of aging. So the distribution function of these two random variables, that is x and xt. X is lifetime of a new unit and xt is the lifetime of a unit of ht. So it's like you are comparing these two random variables only. So new better than used class of aging means that x is better than xt, or f is better than ft. Means what? If if x is stochastically larger than xt, what does it mean? X stochastically larger than xt, it will mean the survival function of x is larger than the survival function of xt. So a distribution is said to be have a new better than used class of aging if f bar x is greater than or equal to f bar tx for every x and t greater than 0. What is f bar x? So f is CDF. So f bar is the survival function associated with this CDF, and f bar tx is survival function from originated from this f only. You are talking about the same item, but you are considering the item at two different ages. So when you consider the item at age 0, then this is its survival function, and when you consider the same item at age t, then this will be its survival function. So what you are saying is that the new item is always better than the used item. So in what sense? So in the sense of survival functions. So f bar x is greater than or equal to f bar tx. So is it okay if this happens for only one point? No, then there is no point in this conclusion, isn't it? So this should happen for every x. Okay. And is it okay if you are comparing new item with an item of say a year old? No, you should consider comparison of the new item with all old items. So an item can be of age 1, 2, 1.5, any age. So this should be true for every x and for every t greater than 0. So in that sense, you are considering all possibilities actually, because you are considering for every x and t greater than 0. But still, when you look at the definition, it gives you a feeling that you are comparing the item only at two particular time points. One time point is 0 and the other time point is t. So this can be a wrong impression that you get. This can be an impression that you get from this equation. So if you simplify this, if you substitute the value of this, you get this equation: f bar x, f bar t greater than or equal to f bar x plus t. You know this we have already computed. This is nothing but f bar x plus t upon f bar t. So after simplification you get this. So this is an interesting property. So this is a weaker form of aging since does not compare the units at all ages. Do you understand? This is what I was trying to explain to you, because you are considering only two time points. So yes, it's not like a continuous comparison the way we had earlier in IFRA or IFR. So now there is a claim that if an item or if a life distribution has IFRA property, then it always have new better than used property. Or in short, if a life distribution belongs to IFRA class of aging, then it also belongs to new better than used class of aging. So how is it? So let us try to understand this. So if f is IFRA, then f bar alpha t is greater than or equal to f bar t raised to alpha. This we proved earlier. So f bar 1 minus alpha t will be greater than or equal to f bar t raised to 1 minus alpha. How do you get this? Now because this is true for any alpha, so I choose exactly instead of alpha I am taking 1 minus alpha. It doesn't matter, isn't it? Replace alpha by 1 minus alpha, or take beta equal to 1 minus alpha, then won't it be true for beta? Yes, beta will be again between 0 and 1, so it should be true for beta. So f bar 1 minus alpha t will be greater than or equal to f bar t raised to 1 minus alpha. We are just writing this statement in another words here. Now what? But what is the meaning of this? What will happen if you take the product of the two? Isn't it? If this is true and this is true, then what will happen if you take the product? Both the inequalities are same, so the inequality will be preserved here. So f bar alpha t into f bar 1 minus alpha t. This, notice that all these numbers, all of these are between 0 and 1. None of them are exceeding 1. So you can easily conclude that this is nothing but f bar alpha t into f bar 1 minus alpha t greater than or equal to. Now what will be the product of this? This will be simply f bar t. So thus you got an interesting property here which is possessed by new better than used, f bar alpha t into f bar 1 minus alpha t greater than or equal to f bar t. Now just for the sake of simplicity, let us denote alpha t by, let us take t as x plus y and alpha as x upon x plus y. So that alpha t will be simply alpha into t, what it will be? Simply x. And 1 minus alpha into t will be simply y. So the left hand side will become f bar x into f bar y is greater than or equal to f bar x plus y. And so you have fulfilled this condition, and so f becomes NBU class of edging. So if f is IFRA, you can easily prove that f is also NBU, that is new better than used. Now let us very quickly go through new better than used in expectation class, or shall we stop? Will it be too much? So let us stop right now. We will continue with this in the next lecture.